The committee investigating the January 6th insurrection has subpoenaed another round of Trump allies as multiple investigations of Trump and his inner circle intensify and Republicans continue their attempt to take control of our elections. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. Guys, tomorrow is a big day. No, it's not just Thanksgiving. It's the deadline MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell set for himself to file his supposedly blockbuster Supreme Court case proving definitively that there was fraud in the 2020 election.
I cannot wait to drop this Supreme Court case the Tuesday at 9 a.m. before Thanksgiving, and the whole world's going to be watching all this unfold over Thanksgiving.
You are saying that on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, which I think is 4 weeks away, you're going to drop a lawsuit so you can go back and have fistfights, the family squabbles. Lindell, you're a genius. Only you could have thought of this.
Steve,
the country's going to go back at your holidays are ruined again, okay?
And when I say before Thanksgiving, we are bringing the case to them before Thanksgiving, everybody, getting all these states on board. We've got right now upwards of 9. I want to get at least 25 on board.
Upwards of 9 already sounds like a problematically vague wording for a Supreme Court case. And how many states are on board, Mr. Lindell? Upwards of 9! So 10? There's about 10 for sure. That ballpark, yeah. Why won't you tell us the exact number? It's not important. Just please make my friend president again. And I'm sorry, Steve Bannon thinks Americans need a lawsuit from Mike Lindell to have a reason to fight at Thanksgiving. My Uncle Ron needs 2 drinks and he turns into Mike Lindell. One minute he's telling Aunt Debbie she's his light, and the next minute he's screaming, "You pretend to be a loyal wife, but I know about the affairs." And again, I know Lindell's from Minnesota and not Chicago, but I don't care. Still, good news for families trying to avoid conflict. Lindell has failed to file his lawsuit as promised, and he's blaming it on the Republican National Committee. Lindell accused the RNC of calling state attorneys general and pressuring them not to sign the complaint. He also said he was flying to 5 different states to get attorneys general to sign the document. Holiday travel is stressful enough as it is. Imagine being in a boarding area with this guy who is definitely going to stand up when Group 1 is called, no matter what group he's sitting in. Plus, you know he carries his ticket in some weird Ziploc travel pouch he forgot how to open. It's tricky because you got to pull it while you squeeze it. There are 2 things happening on parallel tracks right now in American politics. On the one hand, Republicans like Lindell are still spreading the big lie that the election was stolen and making it easier to overturn future results they don't like. And on the other hand, several major investigations of key Trump allies who tried to steal the last election are getting more serious. For example, the Congressional Committee investigating the January 6th insurrection has subpoenaed 5 more Trump allies, including disgraced right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, who always looks like he's trying to Hulk out, even though he wasn't exposed to gamma rays, and Roger Stone, the guy who famously showed up to Trump's inauguration looking like an 18th century oil baron who makes his own meth at home. Quick aside, we've used that photo so many times over the years, I honestly can't remember which jokes we've made about it and which ones we haven't. Here's a bunch anyway. This guy looks like Willy Wonka's mortician. Is Quentin Tarantino remaking Lincoln? He looks like a fella who just made his first million in the Zeppelin business. Dude looks like he's trying to sneak into the Met Gala to sell cocaine. Hey, Chalamet. Chalamet. Care to partake of the devil's dandruff? Now, you might remember that Stone was already convicted as part of the Russia investigation, but his sentence was commuted by Trump, and he ended up right back in the middle of Trump's inner circle, helping hatch their next scheme.
Stone was convicted of 7 felony counts stemming from the Russia investigation, including obstruction of the investigation, lying to investigators, and witness tampering. That then only resulted in President Trump commuting his sentence in July 2020, just in time for Stone to help plan the January 6th insurrection. Stone appeared at multiple Stop the Steal events in the days leading up to the attack.
Stone is part of this constellation of far-right media personalities, perhaps more than anybody else. Roger Stone is fluent in Trump, and he knows how to produce slogans and commentary that fit into his vernacular.
What does it mean to be fluent in Trump? You only use Words with one syllable, you talk like a cab driver from Queens, or you know how to stretch a single sentence into a rambling hour-long monologue. Can you imagine one of those French to English travel dictionaries, except it was Trump to English? All right. Let me translate. So Trump said, a man came up to me, tears in his eyes. He said, sir, you're bringing America back, sir. We're living in the golden age of America, sir, just like the golden age of television. Lucille Ball, I love Lucy, you love Lucy, we all love Lucy, don't we, folks? She ate all that chocolate and got paid for it. What a deal. I said to my team, we need more chocolate-eating jobs, and that's what we did. We opened more chocolate factories under my administration than any previous administration in history. Witch hunt. Okay. And that translates to, I am sad inside. So investigators are closing in on more Trump allies. The investigation has already subpoenaed former New York Police Commissioner Bernard Kerik, a close ally of Rudy Giuliani, who was part of a so-called command center set up by Trump cronies like Steve Bannon ahead of the January 6th insurrection, where they hatched plans to steal the election from Biden.
The headquarters for some key figures in Trump's effort to overturn the 2020 election. Rudy Giuliani, Steve Bannon, former New York City Police Commissioner Bernard Kerik, and conservative lawyer John Eastman holed up in Washington's Willard Hotel, walking distance from the White House, in a suite of rooms they called the Command Center.
It's just fun to imagine Rudy Giuliani running a command center in a hotel room. Let's get started. Bernie, you split up the free toiletries. I call the tiny shampoo. Steve, order me a Cobb salad, but 6 rows of eggs. They know how to do it. It's also important to remember these people only hang out with each other because there is no one else who will hang out with them. If Bernie Kerik had other options, do you think he would still roll with Rudy Giuliani, who publicly implied a few months ago that they all partied with disgraced royal Prince Andrew?
I told this to the Queen of England. She said, you did a wonderful job on September 11. And therefore, I'm making you an honorary knight, commander of the Royal something or other. I turned down a knighthood because if you took a knighthood, you had to lose your citizenship. I know Prince Andrew is very questionable now. I never went out with him. Ever. Never had a drink with him. Never was with a woman or a young girl with him. Ever. One time, I met him in my office, and one time when we had the party, right, Bernie? You were there. You weren't there? Oh.
You weren't there? Oh, now I remember. Bernie, you said if anyone ever asked, I wasn't here. And then you said, wink, wink. Let's just say what you will about my impressions, but they're way better than Rudy's. I mean, is that what he thinks the Queen sounds like? Who does he think played her in The Crown? Al Pacino? Whoa, nothing makes me smile like a corgi running across a well-manicured lawn. Low to the ground and fast like a rocket ship. Let's get a round of crumpets out here. It is always crumpet o'clock at Buckingham Palace. And of course, Rudy's already facing his own criminal investigation for trying to cheat in the 2020 election before the results came in. Investigators are focusing on his attempts to dig up dirt on Joe Biden in Ukraine. And as you might recall, his home and office were raided by the feds earlier this year. Last night, he was on Newsmax and claimed that only Trump cronies are targeted by the feds.
I have to get your reaction to the breaking news, these 5 new subpoenas from the quote-unquote January 6th committee of Nancy Pelosi. The idea that we've had Roger Stone subpoenaed, Alex Jones, 3 other individuals. Add to that Mark Meadows and Steve Bannon. Are we seeing the collapse of the rule of law at the highest levels in the United States, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, yeah, Sebastian, we watched that all through the Trump presidency. I mean, the Democrats handled themselves like fascists. There were no constitutional rules. Why is it that the only lawyers whose law offices get broken into are Donald Trump's lawyers? Remember, they went and got my iCloud account. I'm a lawyer.
All right, but not really. I mean, your law license was suspended and you lost every case you brought after the election. The only thing you succeeded at doing was drumming up publicity for a landscaping company. I mean, looks like he's shooting a local commercial for them. Come on down to Four Seasons Total Landscaping. Our prices are so crazy you'll be screaming, why God? Why? But hey, at least he's not the kind of guy who puts his thumb on the front-facing camera. More importantly, let's go back to this penetrating question.
Why is it that the only lawyers whose law offices get broken into are Donald Trump's lawyers?
Yeah, why is it such a mystery? It's like asking why the only rats who go viral are pizza rats. What about all the other everyday working class rats? When is their time in the sun? The command center, the lawsuits, the Ukrainian scheme, all of it was part of the Trump team's attempt to cheat in or steal the election. And as part of that effort, they produced memo after memo laying out a detailed plan for Vice President Mike Pence to reject the Electoral College count. There were a bunch of memos from several Trump lackeys. In fact, former Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn even tried to get the Pentagon involved in their attempted coup. It wasn't just an impulse or Trump randomly lashing out. They had a detailed plan and a command center to pull it off. And believe me, I'm as shocked as you are that these misshapen potato chips had a plan. It's much easier to think of them as a bunch of easily distracted doofuses who get caught trying to steal a pen from a bank without realizing it's chained to the desk. But they did have a plan, and they came close to pulling it off, which means they're almost certainly going to try it again, except this time they're trying to do it by changing the laws to make it easier. And they have Republican officials in states across the country helping them. They've already started passing new voting laws in at least 17 states, and now they've landed on their next target, Wisconsin.
In a stunning new piece of reporting in the New York Times, Ron Johnson and other Republicans in Wisconsin have now launched an all-out assault on their state's election system to ensure Republicans have full control over its voting process. From that reporting, quote, the Republican effort, broader and more forceful than that in any other state where allies of former President Donald J. Trump are trying to overhaul elections, takes direct aim at the bipartisan Wisconsin Elections Commission. Last month, a report ordered by Republican state legislators and performed by Wisconsin's nonpartisan Legislative Audit Bureau found, big surprise here, no widespread fraud in the 2020 election. But the report did make dozens of recommendations for the Election Commission, and Republicans pounced.
Think about how insane that is. They conducted an audit that found no evidence of fraud, but made a bunch of recommendations anyway. It's like if you went to the doctor for a physical and he said, all right, everything looks perfect. We'll take the leg off on Monday. Not sure how many bones there are in there, but it's got to be
upwards of 9.
Call back. This is the single greatest existential threat to our democracy right now, and it's hanging over every aspect of our politics. One party wants to take control so they can never lose power again. From Steve Bannon to Roger Stone to Rudy Giuliani, it seems like everyone around Trump was involved in the attempted coup, and now that they're all getting subpoenaed, they're saying, oh. This has been a closer look. God's Love We Deliver cooks and brings over 2 million meals a year to men, women, and children living with HIV/AIDS, cancer, and other serious illnesses, and they need your help now more than ever. If you're watching this online, you can hit the donate button. Stay safe, get vaccinated. We love you.